What's up, guys? Going to talk to you about effective bullpens versus bullpens. So, in a bullpen, what we're looking for is to make it pretty game-like. Now, there are times that we're going to be doing velo pens or straight TrackMan pens where the pitch design is, overtaking the entire bullpen. However, most bullpens I see are guys get on the mound. It's, I'm going to throw 15, 20 pitches today. Fastball, 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 and they just do 5 of each pitch, right? 5 fastballs, 5 curveballs, 5 changeups, 5 sliders. When are you going to do that in the game? You're not. There's going to be no pitch count, right? So, I'll throw 15, 20, and then they exceed and way overshoot that number, or they completely surpass. So if they're at, hey, I'm going to throw 20 today, and they go and they throw 13. Well, we didn't really do what we were supposed to do unless you had, arm pain or some kind of circumstance that caused you to end the bullpen early. And then just no plan. For me personally, when I'm running bullpens, if a guy comes up and I say, hey, what are we working on today? And they say, I don't know. They don't get to throw a bullpen that day. They can throw it the next day, but they got to figure out what they're doing. Because I know that if they come to me 5 minutes later with an answer, they were doing that on the spot. That's not really their plan. They just said that they have a plan so they can throw their bullpen, which is going to be meaningless. An effective bullpen, we're working on command. We're doing pitch mixes. So that means if we throw 3 fastballs in a game, we're probably going to throw a couple off speed off of that and then go back to the fastball and etc. Or maybe even, if we're simulating a game, if your best pitch is your slider, we're going to throw a lot of sliders unless we're working on something else, obviously. Shape and design. Now, ideally, if you have technology, if you have a TrackMan, that would be awesome. That would go into an effective bullpen. If you don't have access to that kind of tech, no big deal. But if you do and you're not using it, not sure why. And having a flippin' plan. This is the most important part of a bullpen. Having a plan. If you don't have one of these, you might as well not even throw. Which is why I do not let athletes throw if they don't have a plan. And I'm very, very stern about that. So, going into command a little bit, we could play a game with it. We could say, all right, we're going to have this strike percentage as a goal. Maybe it's 80%, 60%. Maybe a guy's struggling. He is just walking everyone. So the goal is literally 50% that day because we want a realistic goal that's still somewhat challenging at that point, right? But if they're a guy who just dots up the zone, doing a command game probably isn't going to work for them. So the challenging aspect of, say, their in-game strike percentage is 68, even just 60%, going for 70, 75% in the bullpen is probably their regular. So saying, hey, let's throw 100% strikes, that's not an effective bullpen plan. For them, it's going to be more pitch mix, shape design. But we want something that is challenging enough because we don't want to walk away from every session going, wow, that was easy. I really nailed it today. Because if you nail it every day, what'd you work on? It obviously wasn't that challenging. If you go in the weight room and every single day you go, wow, that was easy, you're not getting stronger. You're not getting better. So we need to have something challenging for our bullpens. Every training session, this includes throwing, should be challenging. And if you master it, awesome. You learned something. You got really good at it. Let's say that my command percentage, my strike percentage is 50%. So we hammer command. All of a sudden, I've thrown 3 bullpens in a row and my command percentage is through the roof. Guess what? No longer need to work on that because it's not challenging enough and it's no longer our lowest hanging fruit, most likely. So at that point, then we go into pitch mix. Pitch design. Obviously, all of this has a plan. For me, velocity pens are more of a test. I believe velocity is developed through your throwing progression, your plan. The weight room is a massive one, your recovery, your arm care. I don't think that throwing velocity pens are going to actually create velocity. I think a velo pen is a good way of testing it. It's sort of like, you're training in the weight room, you're throwing drills, progressions, that's the homework. And then that velo pen is the test. So we can't perform well on the test if we don't do the homework. That goes into my velo pen. But again, having a plan is the most important part because even in season, being able to work on command, pitch design, shape design, mix, everything. If we are just going, all right, 5, 5, 5, 5, or The pitch count is just completely not there. We're not simulating anything, right? Like I see guys with no plan at the end of the bullpen. They go, all right, 2 batters. They don't specify if it's a righty or lefty. They have the catcher call balls and strikes instead of maybe an outside source like a coach calling it, like an umpire, because guess what? There's no strike zone. There's only the umpire zone. You're going to get pinched a lot. Putting scenarios in, right? Runners on base. If you're a reliever, I would highly suggest that when you do simulated bullpens or like simulated innings, simulated hitters, that you don't have a clean inning. Maybe you do a little bit, but not all the time, because if you're constantly doing clean innings, like just that slight mental preparation for something stressful, as much as just a runner on first base with 1 out, is going to be more helpful than if you're just never doing it. But they won't specify what batter's in the box, what part of the order he's in, and they're always going for a strikeout. There are guys who throw 70 miles an hour who go for strikeouts. So they're constantly getting to these 3-2 counts in a bullpen just so they could throw a strike 3. If you throw 70 miles an hour and you're on JV or even on varsity, which is up for debate, you're not striking guys out. It's just not happening. So at that point, your simulated hitter should be, okay, getting the ball on the corner, effectively changing speeds. Again, that doesn't go into 5 fastballs, because if you throw 70, you're not throwing 5 fastballs in a row. You're going to have to mix it up. If you throw 100 miles an hour in high school, that might be a little different. But you're still not going to go 5, 5, 5, 5. You're still going to mix it up. A good high school pitcher. There are pitchers in the country that throw 95 to 100 miles an hour in high school. They don't just throw, fastball after fastball after fastball. They're still mixing the ball up. So that's a massive part of it. You have to be very detailed in all of this. If you're not detailed in your training, you are going to miss the boat so much. And unless you are that 1% freak out there, and you're probably not. If you're watching this video, you're probably not a freak. Then this isn't going to work. Everyone thinks that they'll become that natural 1%, or they'll just, develop naturally. Things will just come their way. It's not going to happen. I've been there. I've done that. Plenty of guys who come in here or train with us remotely, they thought that too. That's just not how baseball works. We have to be extremely detailed. We need a plan. This is the most important part of our training, of any training. Weight room, throwing, doesn't matter. Our nutrition, if we don't have a plan in our nutrition, we're never going to gain or lose weight effectively. We're never going to maintain weight effectively. There has to be a plan to everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And the difference between an effective bullpen versus just a bullpen can be the difference between you being a starter or a reliever, being a college pitcher or a pro pitcher, being, the star in high school or just some guy, or going from high school to either college ball or high school to a great college team. And there's nothing wrong with, throwing at the D3, D2 level. But if the reason that you don't reach your full potential is because you didn't have a plan, I feel bad for you, because that sucks. That sucks. You really missed something that was so easy to do. So easy. Have a plan. The most effective part of a bullpen is the plan. I know that's redundant, but really it is just the truth, is you have to be detailed. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the comments, or you can DM or email us. You can find us on Instagram at Fearless Sports Performance and Twitter with the same handle. And until then, stay fearless.